Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Carpenter's Table. We want to talk about a word that I got not too long ago. I was once watching a balloon that had just been released. It's a huge balloon with a basket. People were sitting in it, and the balloon was rising into the air. And attached to the basket on the bottom of it, I saw this rope just hanging there. And I'm like, well, what good is that rope going to do? And as I began, of course, the understanding came that rope had been the tether that held the balloon to the earth and kept the balloon, even though it was filled with hot air, even though the burners were going and the gas was flowing, it was keeping that balloon from rising into the atmosphere. It was keeping that balloon from fulfilling the purpose for which it had been designed and built. It was tethered. And this memory came back to my mind because recently I was in church and I was standing at the back of the congregation, just praying for people silently and just meditating on God. And the words untethered came to my mind. And the flow of the service was so rich and so beautiful. And the people were in worship in unison. And I was looking, the Lord just spoke to my heart and said, untethered. And I thought, untethered, and I remembered the balloon. And then I began to think about the tether and the kinds of tethers that can limit us, hold us back, keep us captive, and prevent us from moving into the atmospheres that we were meant to and ordained to be in, to exist in, to operate in, to walk in, to live in. And I thought about so many different kinds of tethers that can affect our lives through circumstances, situations, problems, trials, whatever they are. But those tethers can be defeated. And my prayer for you today is that you'll be untethered in your walk, untethered in your worship, untethered in every area of your life. My grandmother used to say that the prayers were hitting the ceiling. And as a little kid, I would look at the ceiling like, the ceiling is evil or something, is holding our prayers. But what Big Mama was saying was that some life choices, some attitudes, some decisions, some covenants that have been made in our hearts are preventing our prayers from really moving where they need to go, preventing our worship from moving where it needs to go, preventing us from moving into the realm we were meant to occupy. And much like that balloon that was tethered to the earth, it was still floating off the ground, but it was nowhere near what was supposed to be or supposed to be. Thanks, Nikki, for correcting me. But that became something that I thought about and prayed about. And I remember my own untethered moments. And I learned some different types of tethers. And one that was difficult for me to defeat was a tether of unforgiveness. And it was a chain. It wasn't a rope. A rope is sometimes smooth. You can untie it, and with tension on one end, the knot will just kind of release itself and go. But there are types of chains that are so twisted and kinked in the way they're made that you can release it, but it'll catch the next link and catch the next link and the next one. And sometimes those are tough tethers to break through because each memory echo or each moment you remember or something comes back to realization in your mind, it looked like it was really real at that moment, even though it was a memory from the past, can catch and cause that tether to not want to be released. So my prayer for you is that all the unreleased tethers in your life tonight, that you'll stop and take a moment and ask Father to show them to you so you can untie those tethers and you can exist and operate and move in the realms He intended you to be in. And that even though you're floating off the earth, the tethers will come untied and you'll float even higher. You'll move into the arena you were meant to occupy. Y'all be blessed. I'll see you again at the Carpenter's Table. I love every one of you. Good night.